I sat down with ESPN today, and I don't care if they hear it in Boulder. I told them I took my hat off and I took my glasses off, and I said, when I talk to grown-ups, I take my hat and my glasses off. That's what my mother taught me. So, you know, they're not going to like us no matter what we say or do. It doesn't matter, okay? So let's go up there and play.
I'm minding my own business, watching some film, trying to get ready, trying to get out here and be the best coach I could be. And I look up and I read some bull junk that Deion said about us.
Talk to us.
Once again,
talk to us.
Why would you want to talk about us when we don't talk about nobody? All we do is go out here, work our butts off, and do our job on Saturday. But when they give us ammunition, they done messed around and made it what? It was just going to be a good game. They done messed around and made it personal. It was going to be a great test, a battle of Colorado, but they done messed around and made it personal.
It's just a different type of feeling.
This is college football as good as it gets. Wow! What an unbelievable play. Oh, real Heisman!
It is time for the kickoff presented by Ram Trucks. Week 3, my guy Skubie Mageza. He's here. He's got the shoes. Better than anything I've seen Strysky do to this point. I am Matt Barrie. Hard to believe we are in week 3 of the college football season. Scoob, I'm looking forward to breaking this down for you because there's a lot of stuff to talk about, some intriguing matchups.
Yeah, I'm excited about a lot of these games. We know that SEC matchups are starting this week, and I'm looking at LSU and Mississippi State. I got 2 questions going into that game. Okay. Can LSU play to their potential? Yep. And can Mississippi State throw the ball? Now, we saw what Florida State did to LSU in week 1. They out-physicaled them, out-match-up them, outspeed them, everything, right? But Jordan Travis beat them a lot through the air. And then Mississippi State, they're coming off of an overtime win against Arizona, and they ran the ball a lot in that game. But Will Rogers, we haven't seen him throw the ball that much this season at all. 46 times through 2 weeks. He has never gone through one game without throwing the ball more than 30 times heading into this season. So let's see if they can get it popping.
It'll be a fun game to watch. One, I love conference play because the first couple of weeks these guys have non-conference games, trying to figure out who they are, what they are, what kind of personality they have. But I'll tell you this about Mississippi State. Different team now with Zach Arnett, former defensive coordinator, now the head coach. Will Rogers still at quarterback, but they've changed the scheme a little bit, not what we used to see from the late, great Mike Leach. LSU, to me, and Jaden Daniels is one of the more intriguing storylines in the country because coming into the season, I had LSU coming out of the SEC West.
We know what their ceiling is.
Right, and it's still there. They had an out-of-conference loss to Florida State, didn't look good, but Alabama already an out-of-conference loss. They lost last week to Texas, and then Texas A&M. Out-of-conference loss to Miami. So the 3 best teams in the SEC West have already gone down. I still contend that LSU, top to bottom, probably the most talented team in that division. So I'm with you on this one. It's going to be good. That one, noon Eastern, ESPN, your pregame show, halftime. Matt, Dan Mullen, Joey. We'll see you there. I'm going to go with Tennessee and Florida for my game to watch on that slate we just showed you. And I'll tell you why. Back in the day, Phil Fulmer, Steve Spurrier, this was the game that decided the SEC East.
Yep.
It's not at that level anymore because Georgia has just run this conference for the past 5 years. But with Tennessee, Joe Milton at starting quarterback, going into the swamp. I don't care what you think of Florida at this point. I don't care what they did against Utah. Tennessee has not won at the swamp since 2003.
It's been a long time, y'all.
So to go there and do that, I think Milton and Tennessee can really plant their flag in the turf at the swamp is like, I know Georgia's good, but don't forget about us if they get this win.
We're going to find out a lot about Tennessee in this game. Joe Milton's first true road test. We haven't seen that offense be as efficient as it has been in the past. Hendon Hooker, really accurate quarterback. What he could do is hit guys in stride, hit those deep balls. Explosive plays for Tennessee last year. Haven't seen them as much this season. You go in a place like Florida, haven't won there often, right? You're going to need to run the ball well, and Tennessee is going to need to give support to Joe Milton. So I'm keeping an eye on how they handle that, and they'll be bringing a lot of pressure to Florida because they lead the country in sacks, and it's going to be a tough time for him to get that ball out on time.
This game is so good. If you're a college football nerd like us, this is one you need to watch, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Now, This is the next thing's near and dear to my heart. I'm a Pac-12 guy. I grew up in Arizona. I went to Arizona State. This is the conference of my youth. It absolutely breaks my heart that the conference is no longer. It is, in fact, the last dance for the Pac-12. And here's what makes it even. Oh, look at this. Well, hell.
Oh,
they even know. Look, they know I'm heartbroken. They've got 8 teams ranked. They've got the best league in the country this year. So why not just blow it up and break my heart forever with the Pac-12?
The Pac-2, you mean?
The Tupac?
The Tupac, hey, I like that. Thug life out in the Pac-12, and that's why they're going out so hard with the 8 teams ranked in the top 25.
Yeah.
I really think it's the best conference in the entire country, and the quarterback play has been insane all year long.
And it starts with USC and Caleb Williams, the defending Heisman Trophy winner. I think this about USC. We knew coming in that USC was as talented as any team in the country based on who they had. Then Lincoln Riley hit the portal, and when Riley hit the portal and he got South Carolina's best player, he brought in a top-flight receiver from Arizona, he brought in a top-flight defensive lineman from Georgia. The portal additions to me make USC a bona fide top 4 team, and if they don't stub their toe, because the Pac-12 is so deep, it'd be easy to see them lose a game in the season or lose the Pac-12 championship. I'm convinced of it. If USC takes care of their business, they are a lock for a college football playoff team. They're that good.
Yeah, as it stands right now, 6 more ranked matchups with 4 of those teams ranked in the top 15.
Yeah.
And then I think something that's not mentioned as much about USC is the addition of Cliff Kingsbury. To have a guy like that with Caleb Williams, we've seen the people that he's coached, Baker Mayfield, Johnny Manziel, Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
To have him leading this kid and seeing what he's doing, basically playing so free, and he has that coaching style of letting quarterbacks play free. It's been fun to watch, and that's why Caleb's just been crushed.
Yeah, you bring in Coach Cool with a guy that already knew how to spin the football with Lincoln Riley. They're a dangerous team to watch, not only in the Pac-12, but throughout the country. And I don't think any of us, by the way, thought that we'd be using a hype meter in season. Well, maybe Sam Acho did. We'll get to him in a minute. He's been driving Deion's bus since he got there. But look at the hype meter with Coach Pride. I didn't think they'd get by TCU. I was wrong about that. I figured they would beat Nebraska. But here they are, 2-0, ranked 18th. Every show at ESPN, minus this one, which, by the way, we'll talk to management about that, is in Boulder, Colorado, for the Battle of Colorado between Colorado State and the Buffs. And here you've got Deion, I would say, light years above expectations, because now they're that 8th ranked team in the Pac-12 that no one thought was coming.
Absolutely. The hype level is absolutely real. I mean, have you gotten a chance to see how the students were lining up trying to get their ticket for the game? Because each student gets 1 ticket to be able to get in. They were lined up the night before just to get in line. I mean, this is like a Jordan sneaker drop on a whole different level. Have you ever waited for some sneakers, Matt?
No, I'm not a sneaker guy.
Yeah, well, I thought you were. I don't know. I see what you got on.
No, I mean, look, but I buy these online. I'm not waiting with people to get the shoes. But listen, I've said this on television. I'll say it in this medium, and I'll say it wherever you ask me. It is only a matter of time. Thank you. That's the shoe pop right there. It's only a matter of time, not if but when Deion Sanders takes over college football permanently. Because we are now seeing the way that he does things works. He hired a brilliant staff around him. He puts himself out there, which puts the program out there. And now Colorado, through 3 games, has gotten more attention than any college football team in the country, including Alabama, including Georgia. They're the talk of sports, not just college football. And when are people going to learn not to mouth off about Prime and Deion the week you play? And listen to Jay Norvell.
And I sat down with ESPN today, and I don't care if they hear it in Boulder. I told them I took my hat off and I took my glasses off, and I said, when I talk to grown-ups, I take my hat and my glasses off. That's what my mother taught me.
I'm minding my own business, watching some film, trying to get ready, trying to get out here and be the best coach I could be. And I look up and I read some bull junk that Deion said about us.
Talk to us.
Once again,
talk to us.
Why would you want to talk about us when we don't talk about nobody? All we do is go out here, work our butts off, and do our job on Saturday. But when they give us ammunition, they done messed around and made it what? It was just going to be a good game. They done messed around and made it personal. It was going to be a great test, a battle of Colorado, but they done messed around and made it personal.
Personal. Let's go. I'm ready to run through a wall. Coach, let me in the game. I got to see if I got any eligibility left, Matt.
You might be able to
fired
walk
up.
See, Deion, here, okay, so that's an example of what I said when Deion's going to take over college football. Deion preaches to his team.
Thank you.
Okay, so what happens when you're in church? When you're in church and the minister's up there and he's preaching, well, what happens? If you're a good preacher,
hit the
the congregation finishes your sentence, right?
My God.
Deion is a amazing preacher, and what happens? His team finishes his sentences. Game 1, week 1, in his pregame press conference, or in his pregame speech, he gets in there and he goes, "We're not coming no more." What did his team do? Finish the sentence. We're here. You know he has that thing so dialed in. And I got to get something off my chest about the media in general.
Yep.
The media can't have it both ways. The media and the high and mighty media that's out there complaining about Jay Norvell mouthing off about Deion is the same media that always says, well, I hate coach speak. Well, you can't have it both ways. You either want the coach to mouth off or you want the coach speak.
Simple.
Give me this Jay Norvell because it's going to make tomorrow fun, 10 p.m. Eastern, ESPN.
Listen, let me get a little bit church on you, Matt.
Yeah.
I'm going to drop a verse. 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7. For we walk by faith, not by sight. So do you believe?
I believe.
Simple as that, baby. I believe in what Colorado is doing. I believe in Prime. He gets everybody right. And I've also believed what I've seen, even though we walk with no sight. Deion Sanders, over 900 yards in the first 2 games of the season. He is averaging the most passing yards per game. He is in the Heisman conversation. And don't even get me started on Travis Hunter and the 1,052 snaps that he's played.
And you know what they're going to get to witness tomorrow firsthand? Lee Corso in the headgear.
You know what you want? You want a connection. Connection with people, and nobody has done that better than you have. There is only one Lee Corso.
Not so fast. Forget about it. Forget about it. Forget about it. Not tonight, sweetheart. Give me that head.
I know you're crazy.
You're dead right.
This is strictly business.
That dog is ugly.
Off comes the headset, on goes the headgear, and the crowd goes crazy.
He's the godfather of college football.
Thanks to the fans for having so much fun with me.
Time now for Built for Success, presented by Ram Trucks. And this week, the focus on the number 3 team in the country, Florida State. This is the Seminoles' highest ranking since 2017, when they started the season as the same rank. The team is averaging 55 points this season, 4th most in the FBS, and their most through the first 2 games of a season since 2012. They looked good early on, but I want you to take a look at this. Through 2 weeks in the season, this is the 4th most points scored for the Seminoles since 1936. And 2 out of the other 3 years, they had the more points. They won the ACC championship. It is safe to say, as we do each and every week, to bring in our friend and yours, Sam Acho. It is safe to say, Vach, that Florida State is a food group program.
Okay.
When Florida State is good, it's good for college football. When they were patient with Mike Norvell, it was to get him to this point. I contend that Florida State is right now one of the top 3 teams in the country. What do you say?
I agree, completely agree. Florida State, not just defensively, but offensively, has transformed into a juggernaut. And it's not just the offensive line, not just the transfer receivers, but it's Jordan Travis. He's matured, he's grown, he's changed his game. He's so much more confident now than he was before. And so that's part A. Part B, this defense lives in the backfield. They need to start paying rent. That's how often you'll see them sacking, tackles for loss, what have you. And so you see a confident bunch both offensively, defensively is what gives this team such a great shot for a title.
Well, when you just mentioned Jordan Travis, and Coleman is one of his key weapons that he's been targeting. I mean, what's it been like to see those two connect so much, and how big is it to get a guy like that to transfer onto this team.
Well, it's huge. So Keon Coleman, we saw week 1, the 3 touchdowns, transferred from Michigan State, played basketball for Izzo at Michigan State and football. But what's great about Keon Coleman is that it frees up Johnny Wilson, the 6'7" receiver, not to have to be the dude, right? Not that he doesn't want to be, but now you have a dog. Like Keon Coleman is a beast. Now Johnny Wilson, like he's had some drop issues. If he drops 1 or 2, it doesn't kill you. It doesn't hurt you. It allows him to still be free as a receiver. So Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, then the running back groups, right? Toafili, Trey Benson. Like Benson is so slippery. He's hard to bring down. And so you have those weapons and a quarterback like Jordan Travis who's now confident. I'm telling you, this team is a force to be reckoned with.
Here's what I find frightening, because typically over the last decade or so, it's been Clemson's conference. Everybody else just living in it. There's always that big game between Clemson and Florida State. That happens next week. I don't know that this is going to go well for Clemson.
Oh.
And I believe now.
You believe?
Of course I believe.
Do you believe?
I believe now that Florida State, once they get by Clemson next week, you have to literally talk about them as a national championship contender. That's where they're headed.
That varies. No, what does Lee Corso say? Not so fast, my friend. He said once they get past Clemson.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. All the stuff we talk about, there's so much good with Florida State. But the one issue that I've seen on tape, and I'm still perusing through the tape.
Okay.
Offensive line and pass protection.
All right.
Run game, they're great, right? It's supposed to play out over 90, 95. He plays 20 yards or more last year. They're fine. But in pass pro, if you get this team behind, and you have an athletic group like Clemson has up front, guys like Tyler Davis, guys like Ruka Rororo, guys like Peter, the freshman, Peter, last name, forget his name. Long story short, get those guys on the offensive line. All of a sudden, Jordan Travis may have some issues. And so even last week, yes, Florida State blew their other team out. But I'm telling you, offensive line, there may be an opportunity to make some noise.
Yeah, as the season goes along, we tend to learn more and more things about them, and it seems like you're finding out, you're picking out the little things that they need to be able to improve on. Now, Mike Norvell has brought this team to the number 3 ranking in the country. He brought in the transfers. We see Jordan Travis taking that next step in his game. Now, what is it that Mike Norvell has done that you think has put this team in a whole different tier?
He doesn't care anymore. Like, as a young coach or a young player, maybe if you're in media, you want to care about what people say about you, what people think about you. Mike Norvell does not care. Like, even when you do interviews with him, he's not trying to be liked anymore. He's not trying to be your friend. All he cares about are the dudes in that locker room. That guy you see, 75 back there, Dylan Gibbons, like he was one of the team leaders last year. Like, those guys follow. They live for Mike Norvell. They don't care about anything else. On the outside, no issues. On the inside, they will fight for him.
It's going to be fun to watch. They are really, really good. Florida State, you can say, unlike the Longhorns, they're kind of back. Florida State is back. I'll see you on TV, and when we do, we'll play your theme music.
I believe, man. It's Coach Prime, man. It's not Deion.
Appreciate you, brother.
I'm going to call you Coach Prime.
Sorry.
Listen, Sam's a great dude. We're happy to have him on here. You guys, it's a vibe. Anyway, check out our digital shows, starting with Countdown to Game Day on Saturday in the morning with Christine Williamson, Harry Lyles, and Harry Douglas. That'll get you right to start your day. And then the next 2 shows, the College Football Show and the Wrap-Up. You can catch me on the College Football Show with Sam Ravish and Matt Sims. And then on the Wrap-Up with Sam Ravish and myself as we wrap up your day.
But starting early in the morning, SEC Network, Marty and McGee, or as I like to call it, McGee and Marty. Well, why do I call it McGee and Marty? Because the star of this show is here, Ryan McGee, with us each and every week. Man, I love Ryan. This is like my therapy that you and I get to kind of digitally hug every week and talk a little ball. And I want to start with Ohio State. And Ryan Day had to say this about the quarterback. Take a listen.
Yeah, I mean, we're used to scoring 60 and 70 in some of these games, and it's for a couple different reasons. One, maybe not as efficient as we've been, but I thought we were pretty decent in the first half. But then, two, just the way that it's going with this clock and teams, huddling and snapping it inside of 10 seconds, and it doesn't take much to get a couple first downs, and before you know it, you've all look up and you've had 3 plays in the third quarter, and there's like 4 minutes to go.
All right, McGee, are you buying that at all from Ryan Day?
No, I mean, I'll say 2 things. Number one, he's not wrong in that if you watch what these teams have done, I mean, Indiana running an entirely different offense than they've run all year. The whole point was to take advantage of those clock rules and keep Ohio State's offense off the field so they don't get 60, 70 points. But I also don't disagree with them. I hate this clock thing. I can't stand it. And the reason is because, and you guys, if I say this all the time, no matter what platform I'm on, I like my Saturday football to be Saturday football, and I like my Sunday football to be Sunday football. And the more we do to kind of homogenize this, right, the more we do to make the college game look like the NFL game, I hate it. I don't like buys in the playoff. I don't like not stopping the clock after a first down. It's just you're getting away from who you are, and you're leaning into the pros. And I don't watch Sunday football. I watch Saturday football. And so that's where I am with this. So that's a really long way of saying I think Ryan Day's overplaying it a little bit. I think this has been played against him some. But I also just hate the clock rules.
Fair enough.
Hey, he likes to keep it old-fashioned. I'm with you right there, McGee. Keep college football the same. But things are changing in college football with Bama not being at the top of the list. You had Bama in your bottom 10 this week for the first time ever, McGee. Yeah. What is going on? This is a new age, and they landed the number 5 spot. So please, talk Bama fans off the edge. What do they still have to look forward to?
Well, all right, so we're in Starkville, Mississippi. Marty and I actually had to drive through Tuscaloosa to get here today. And I was like when you're hiding from your parents, you're too late from curfew. I was hiding, in the passenger seat. But listen, Bama fans aren't used to this. I've been right in the bottom 10 for 10 years. They've never been in what we call the coveted 5th spot. It's not the 5th worst team in the country. It's a really good team that had a really weird, bad weekend. And one of the best parts of riding the bottom 10 is watching an Alabama or a Clemson who was in the 5th spot last week, is watching teams that aren't used to being there. They think, this guy thinks we're the 5th worst team in the country. No, I don't. I just think you had a bad weekend. But listen, I think that everyone's spoiled. It's kind of like Ryan Day having explained to Ohio State fans why they're not scoring 60, 70 points.
So true.
It's why Kirby Smart's having explained why didn't we win a game by 7 touchdowns instead of only winning it by 5. You get spoiled. And so right now they're in a transition. The concern in Alabama is, and you could see this in 2021, I always go back to, it's quality control, right? It's substitution infractions in the 10th game of the year. And it's really, it's offsides, it's procedures. It's things that Alabama wasn't doing at the end of the year in November, December, and even January at the height of their power. So that's where you're concerned. But the reality is they still got like 5 first-rounders on the team. They're still going to win double-digit games. They still can win the SEC. So let's not worry too much yet, but quit throwing eggs at my rental car, please.
Yeah, look, I love that you did it based on the week and not a cumulative of the season. It's a week-by-week thing for McGee. Read the column. It's great stuff, bottom 10. Finally, we'll get you out here in this one. You're in Starkville, LSU, Mississippi State. LSU stubbed their toe against Florida State. Mississippi State had to survive against Arizona last year. What are you going to see tomorrow in this game?
I think you're going to see defense, and that's what's weird is, this was the air raid, the final air raid, stronghold for Mike Leach, right? Well, Zach Arnett's the coach now, and Zach Arnett was the defensive coordinator, and Zach Arnett got frustrated with the fact that his defense was on the field most of the game with the air raid offense. So they're running a traditional offense. They have the leading rusher in the SEC. They have a running back at Mississippi State that has almost half as many yards as he did all of last year in the first 2 games. And meanwhile, LSU needs to control things. And so you're going to see a battle for the clock in an LSU-Mississippi State game, which is not what we would have expected out of this game 2, 3, certainly 5 years ago. And so we'll see a battle for possession here. And I think LSU probably wins the game. I don't need to anger 2 fan bases within, 30 minutes of each other.
We want you to stay safe out there.
17, 13-ish. Well, just lie to him tomorrow morning on Marty and McGee, bright and early on the SEC Network. You're the best, McGee and Marty. Love you.
Appreciate it. I love that. That's music to my ears right there, Barrie. Keep doing that.
Florida State, coming off an impressive first 2 weeks of the college football season, finally leaves home to take on Boston College in their backyard, ABC noon. The Eagles are reeling a little bit. They had a win last week versus Holy Cross, but lost in week 1 to Northern Illinois. 20 penalties for the Eagles in the first 2 weeks. They've got to clean things up. On the other side, Florida State is riding high. Played over 100 players last week versus Southern Miss. What depth the Seminoles now have, and the transfer portal additions of Jaheim Bell and Keon Coleman have already made a dangerous offense all that more explosive. Jordan Travis has been off the charts, and the Florida State Seminoles have not beat themselves in the first 2 weeks. It's why they're one of the hottest teams in college football.
Coming coming to you from maybe one of the most beautiful weather spots this week in college football in Tampa for Alabama versus South Florida. And Alabama's taken a ton of criticism this week, including from some of their former players. Trent Richardson saying, we have to get back to playing Bama football. Nick Saban's heard it, and his answer, you're right. We have to play better, particularly up front, eliminating the sacks allowed, the penalties. And as he said all this week, it's a chance to not waste a failure. They'll try and do that Saturday when they play the Bulls.
It's an in-state matchup between the two teams. Tulsa and Oklahoma also expected to be a sold-out crowd with this in-state game. And a lot of familiarity between the two head coaches, Tulsa head coach Kevin Wilson and Oklahoma head coach Brent Venables. The two used to coach together on the opposite sides of the field at Oklahoma. So expect it to be rowdy. For Tulsa, they're working already with 3 different quarterbacks. No name on who's going to be the starter. You could look out for Roman Fuller. As for Oklahoma, you can expect them to play a lot of tempo football with their receiving core and Dylan Gabriel at quarterback.
All right, Skubie, there are things I love about Coach Prime and what's not to love. He seems to be really honest about everything.
That's right.
That's part 1. Part 2, I don't have kids. But for people who have kids, I always look at them and I say, you know what? I bet that you have a favorite. They're like, no.
I'm the favorite in my family.
There you go. I'm the favorite in mine.
Sorry,
this is what we know. So you combine those two together and mix it with college football, which means we rank everything. And Deion Sanders did something this week. This is his best work yet, Skubie. He ranked his favorite children on his birthday.
See, Deion is a real one. And, you know, it's hard to find real people out there. And I gravitate towards that because he keeps it a buck. That's 100, Matt. So now, why don't I keep it a buck since we're doing lists and all?
Yeah.
With some of the best college traditions in all the country.
Oh, I'm with that.
All right, so I have my
Before
top
you do
5.
the list, happy birthday, Deion Sanders Jr. We just want to make sure he gets to the top of the list. Happy birthday, son.
Hey, you know what? Your birthday is your special day, and today is my special day for the best college football tradition, starting at number 5.
Oh, okay.
Let's see what you think about this. I want you to react after you see my list. We got the Clemson walkout. I mean, this thing is electric. There's nothing like seeing Dabo sprinting down that hill. For me, it's like American muscle. The harder it works, the faster it moves. So we're putting Dabo and the Clemson walkout at number 5. Just check out that sea of orange. A whole vibe. An absolute vibe. All right, number 4, Wisconsin jump around. I mean, how could you not go with this?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you are. You play this song with the vibes feeling right, it's going to be jumping like some popcorn with everybody in that joint. Just look at everybody going crazy. That's how popcorn looks like when you're getting ready to make it in the bowl. And then at number 3, Boomer Sooner.
Okay,
I mean,
the Sooner Schooner, yeah.
Come on, the 2 horses sprinting on that field. Sometimes I try to watch to see if anyone's gonna drift and maybe fall.
Which they have.
Safely, yes, they have. Still, slow motion shot. It looks American. Nothing like live animals at a live sporting event. And then number 2, the PSU whiteout game.
That's a good one.
People show out for this to have all the vibes in unison. Everybody knowing what the assignment is.
That's
we're
exactly
all
right.
We're all together and we're going bananas. Number 1.
Ooh, this is good.
Lee Corso headgear. Come on now.
Yeah.
That is what we all look forward to Saturday morning. You never know what's going to happen or what Lee might do. Just the other week, he busted out some stuff we ain't seen from him in a minute. The older he gets, the more creative he gets. I mean, I'm vibing with the Lee Corso headgear as the number 1 thing on my college football traditions list, Matt. What do you think?
It is really, the Lee Corso thing has really become a staple in the sport. And anytime you can create a staple, I love this list. All right, let's put that list back up if we could.
Okay.
Go back to the bracket so I can see what we've got. Okay, so I've been fortunate enough. I have been to 4 of these 5.
Which one did you miss?
The one that I've missed is the whiteout.
Okay.
I missed the Penn State whiteout. But I have been to a Clemson home game numerous times, Howard's Rock. To me, if you're in the stadium, what makes that one special is they've got cameras that follow the buses like we saw. It's just not on network TV, but that's piped into the stadium. And so people see the team getting on the bus. I'm shocked no one's torn an ACL running down that and jumping
thinking that
That's got Achilles and ACL written all over it. So I love number 5. Been a part of that one. Jump around. One of my first jobs out of college was in Wisconsin. You know it's coming. Every game you know it's coming. And then all of a sudden it gets quiet and you hear the and then everyone loses it. Also a good one. Sooner Schooner is a good one. The one that when they were doing the schooner after the touchdown and the thing comes out, there's guys in the end zone that are shooting off guns.
Yeah.
And so you're sitting there. I used to work in Oklahoma as well. You would know it's coming, and they would hit the gun, and you would jump every time. So for that one, I don't like that one, of course.
Because it made you jump. Come on, Matt. Come on,
I don't mind that jumping around. That's a fine jump around. I don't mind jumping around when guns are going off. And, of course, Coach Corso has been a staple in college football for the last 30 years. So you cannot argue that one. What a great list that is of some of the great fall traditions. Okay, now, that's the positive, right? I love that my guy Skubie kept it positive. Our production staff is going to unveil a list of rankings of the most overrated things about the fall.
All right. We haven't seen this list.
We're seeing it with you. Number 5. Yes.
I'm not a fan.
Here's what it is with the pumpkin garbage.
Garbage?
Here's what it is with pumpkin garbage. I don't mind every once in a while when it's October. Throw a little pumpkin in the coffee. Give me a little pumpkin spice beer.
Yes.
When that pumpkin garbage starts coming out in August, I'm out. You lost me. You're done. Get out of here, pumpkin spice people.
Listen,
it's too early now.
Pumpkin picking is just not for me. Come on, man. Y'all see the kicks, all right? I ain't going to be out in the field with the kicks, getting them all messed up. No, we don't do that. And not only that, we just like the pumpkin spice. To your point, we like the flavoring. Me pumpkin picking and then having to do all that stuff.
Like, pumpkins?
Come on, man. I don't even go apple picking.
Go to the store. All right, number 4.
Horror movie.
I've never been a horror movie.
Same.
Ever.
Why do you want to watch something and feel uncomfortable? It makes no sense to me.
There's a whole genre of people that like the horror movies that say, I love them because they make me laugh. Well, then have you nailed the assignment as a horror movie director if people laugh at your movie?
No. Those people need to be put in a mental institution because I don't know why a horror movie would make you laugh. Number 3. Apple pie.
I feel like the production staff channeled my inner Matt with this list because so far you guys are nailing it. I think apple pie is the most overrated thing in the history of overrated, and it actually drives me nuts when people look at you and they're like, oh, it's American as apple pie. Why does it have to be apple pie? Who wants to eat a pie with warm chunks of apple that are kind of soft and they're still kind of not? Get out of here with apple pie.
Never been a sweets person. Apple pie is mid with a little bit of ice cream. Throw some, little whipped cream in there too. It's got to have some balance and some good things with it. But apple pie, overrated.
This is actually very therapeutic for me. Number 2. Oh, no, I disagree with that.
Same.
I disagree with that.
As a New Englander, when those colors change and you're driving down, especially here to ESPN, the highway is a different type of vibe. You don't see those colors anywhere else. And I lived in Iowa. I saw those cornfields all the time. And when I saw cornfields for years and no fall foliage, I was like, wow. I took it for granted.
Little Matt stat for you. Did you know, which by the way, I'm from Arizona. I'm from the desert. Foliage, peak foliage is amazing. Did you know that when the leaves are changing color, that is actually the natural state of their intended color? Green is not their intended color.
Y'all learning something.
How about that? So foliage, you guys are wrong on that one. I would take that one off the list. And the big one, number 1, the most overrated thing about fall. Oh, it's kind of a...
I disagree.
It's kind of a
number
dual...
1? We just talked about pumpkin spice. I have pumpkin spice coffee this morning, all right? So what does that say about me? No, you guys are wrong on this. Number 1 and number 2.
Morning, you're part of the problem. You're encouraging these businesses to come out with pumpkin coffee on September 15th.
Well, listen, it's getting a little chilly. We just talked about that before we got on. It was a nice chill, little 60 degrees. I'm vibing with that,
We had fun with this today. I love that list. We love you. Thanks for watching the Kickoff presented by Ram Trucks. That's your Week 3 preview. We'll see you coming up again next week.